Hello fellow creeps, and welcome to another episode here on Creepy with Coffee. I'm your host, Kim, and tonight's story will crawl right under your skin. It's not just another ghost story, it's a first-hand experience during a Malaysian school cadet camp that took a terrifying turn. A faceless shadow, a blackout in a military clinic, and a deserted living quarter no one dared to call home. So, grab your warm coffee, turn off the lights, and let's get into the story.
This is Creepy with Coffee.
Now for today, before we get into the story, let me share with you a shout out also to Utiao87, where he posted a comment about his personal encounter. So it goes like this. My personal army encounter. I just finished my BMT, which is Basic Military Training in Singapore, and was posted to another military unit. I was posted to Armour Tanky unit, and one day, I woke up around 3 a.m. and noticed one of my bunkmates standing motionless, still in front of his cabinet. I paid no mind to him as I thought he might be looking his stuff. After I come back from the toilet, it was already past around 5 to 10 minutes later. Yet I see my bunkmate, he was still standing there, so as I walked past, I tried to see what he was doing. He was just standing there in attention like a soldier on parade and not searching for something as I previously thought. The weirdest thing was, he was wearing his military attire instead of our sleepwear. When I asked him in the morning, he had no recollection of the incident. What I heard from everyone in my bunk was that I counted 13 people, including me, in bed when I went back. That was the correct number in my bunk. 13 guys. So the guy standing at my friend's cabinet was number 14. Once again, thank you very much to Utiao87. For those who wanted to share stories like this, you can either drop it in the comment section or you can send it to my email as well. Once again, thank you very much to Utiao. Now, let's get on to today's story. This is an experience I'll never forget, no matter how much time passes. It happened when I was in Form 3. I had been chosen to represent my school in the Persatuan Cadet Bersatu Malaysia (PKBM) camp. Basically, a school cadet unit under the Malaysian Armed Forces. If your school had PKBM, you knew exactly how it feels. All discipline and drills with a taste of military life. I'm sure those watching outside of Malaysia, you guys would have your own version of this kind of camp. I was sent from 4RAMD Tapa to Ipoh for a week-long district-level training. We arrived late in the afternoon, but before long, we were already on the drill field with teams from all across Perak. Just as we finished our marching drills and reporting procedures, the sky opened up without warning. A thunderstorm rolled in. Sheets of rain and howling winds tore across the camp. We couldn't run to the army trucks. Instead, the sergeant directed us into the nearest building, a block of abandoned classrooms. But the rain was so intense, it still seeped into the building. Water splashed across the tile floor. We were soaked to the bone, resigned to our feet. My team was made up of girls with 3 different schools around Batang Padang. I won't name them, but here's where it starts to get weird. One of the girls, Form 5 senior, Form 5 is around 16, 17 years old, I'll call her Ain, was petite compared to me. I was tall and lanky, but she was like a younger sister, although she is older. In the middle of the chaos, Ain suddenly whispered that she needed to use the toilet. Zira, aku nak pergi toilet lah. So, I asked the sergeant for permission. And as per protocol, all the girls were required to accompany her as a group. We marched through the rain toward the nearest toilet block. But this toilet wasn't like the others. It looked wrong, old, forgotten. The lights weren't working. The rain hammered on the roof and flashes of lighting lit up the room like a strobe. The thunder boomed like what you just heard, and a chorus of screams erupted from the girls. Panic had crept into everyone. Then Anne did something unexpected. She threw her arms around me and cried hard, just sobbing. But we are not sure what happened. She buried her face into my chest, sobbing like a child. Her tears soaked my shirt. I tried to remain calm and tried to comfort her as well, but something felt off. Toilet looking like this, with thunderstorm, with a friend that out of nowhere started crying like this. So as Anne hugged me tight, I hugged her back. Surprisingly, her body suddenly turned feverishly warm, and she grew limp in my arms. Fearing the worst, I ran to find our teacher in charge. There were 2 teachers with us, a female and a male. The male teacher had his own car, so he offered to drive Anne and myself to the nearest military clinic, which was around 500 meters away. In the darkening skies and heavy rain, I climbed into the car with Anne still clinging to me like her life depended on it. When we asked what happened, she just didn't say anything but continued crying. When we reached the clinic, Anne was still crying, silently, staring at the floor, her body shivering. The doctor told us it was probably from the shock, from the weather and new environment. There were 2 empty patient beds, and he asked Anne to lie down so he could examine her. That's when things took a turn. While the doctor walked over to his desk, Anne is still seated down, haven't moved to the bed yet. About 3 steps away, the lights suddenly went off. Pitch black, total silence, only the sound of rain and our breathing. I quickly pull out my old Nokia with a tiny torchlight feature, switch it on, and instinctively turn the light towards Anne. That's when I saw it. There was a massive black figure hunched over her, as if the thing was seated on top of my friend. No face, just darkness. A faceless shape clinging on top of my friend. My heart nearly stopped. My whole body locked up, but within seconds, the lights came back on and the shadow vanished. I didn't say a word, not to the doctor, not to my teachers, not even to Anne. We got into the car and drove back to camp quarters. This time, I sat as far as possible from Anne. She didn't speak the entire ride. When we got back, we learned that we were placed in the top floor of a 4-story housing block. But something about the place felt wrong. It was completely unoccupied. 4 floors of army quarters with no residents. And the lights on the staircase, they weren't allowed to be switched on. I mean, what's the point of having lights if you were not allowed to switch them on? We have to climb 4 floors in complete darkness, just the sound of our footsteps on the stair. Finally, inside the house, I felt a little better seeing my friends again. But the place was filthy. We couldn't walk barefoot without turning our feet pitch black. The house was big and oddly intact. Bathtubs, working sinks, but just no signs of past tenants. Why such a decent house, but completely abandoned? And more importantly, why were we the only ones staying there? That night, I tried to sleep on one of the narrow military-style beds. It barely fit me, but at least I had a place to lie down. Still, I couldn't shake off what I had seen. And that's all for today's episode. Once again, if you have your own personal story you want to share, you know where to reach me. And if you've yet to do so, please help me subscribe, like, and share this content down. And if you wanted to support this channel, all the links are down below. Once again, this is Kim, Creepy with Coffee. Thank you very much for watching. Good night and sleep tight.